Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is going to be, I guess, kind of a fun video. And, not all videos have to be about, shooting or training or anything serious. Sometimes, it's just fun to, I guess, a little show and tell. So I feel like maybe it's kindergarten. But so today is, what is today? Wednesday, May the 6th, I think. So believe today is Wednesday. So for people that may see this video 5, 10, 12 months from now, or a decade from now, we are at the tail end, at least of the initial pandemic shutdown in the United States. So a lot of the country has been going through a lot. There's been a lot of businesses have been closed. People have been forced to segregate, stay home. Schools are closed. A lot of services and all of that. So, but we have been staying open. So, because obviously we're in the firearms industry. So, one of the things that kind of developed that we have never seen before, at least not that I can recall, is there was a great interest, a rush at the gun stores to purchase self-defense guns, and people lining up to buy ammo, people lining up to buy Glocks or striker guns, and if they couldn't find the gun that they wanted, first gun of choice, then it was working your way down the list, and eventually you even had people that maybe never even wanted to own a gun, and they're buying single shot shotguns and whatnot. So, but what happened is while the desire and market for either modern combat guns has gone up, or say inexpensive guns, anything that you can get your hands on has also gone up. I'm not going to say that the value of collectible guns has gone down, but what we have noticed is there were a number of guns that we've been trying to purchase as reference guns for the collection for, in some cases, like some of the guns here on the table, for 3 years. And what ends up happening is the bidding wars or the interest in the gun drives the price up to unrealistic expectations. Because, for example, somebody out there who maybe is a variant collector will pay top dollar for condition or box or papers or provenance, where we are more of our reference collection is more of a type collection. So, we only need one, Webley revolver. We only need one, single action Army. We only need one Glock 17. So what's happened is a lot of people won't spend collectors' money even in a panic for a lot of the guns you see on the table. And then a lot of the collectors, maybe some of them backed off on their bidding or their interest because maybe some of them were hoarding money or maybe their financial situation was in question. So we started suddenly winning guns that we have not been able to acquire in years. So nothing you see here on the table, not every gun here is something that we want at auction. There's a few exceptions to the rule, but some of the guns you see here are more for our use, but they have come into the Armory. So for reason I decided to put together a list of quarantine guns that have come into the Armory where we're still operating, even though maybe the rest of the world may not be operating at the same level we are. And I just thought it was pretty interesting. So I don't. Some of these have come in so quickly. I can't really do them in order. But let's start. I guess we'll start off with this one. So what we have here is a Benelli B76 pistol. This is a 9mm and made in Italy. This gun was imported by Sile, S-I-L-E, in New York, and it's not in perfect shape. The collectors may not normally have been interested in this gun because there is some question as to the finish on this. This is I think a nickel finish, and some people believe that these were not. These are refinished. Some people believe these are factory options, and then I think maybe the actual answer may be somewhere in between. I think the importer may have done special runs, and we have reason to believe that by looking at some of the stuff on the gun. And this gun isn't perfect, because it's got a possible refinish. There is some damage to the finish you know, that would be an issue for a variant collector. The grips up here by the magazine release are cracked, and that's common. It's a real thin part on these grips, so even though a gun like this normally it wouldn't sell for a lot of money, the competition for something like this that, you know, I've been trying to buy one of these for 3 years. That wasn't, I didn't want to overpay for it. So all of a sudden, bam, this comes into the Armory. And so, you know, we have 2 magazines, and even came with a little holster. So Benelli, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. But interesting, like that was, I think, probably one of the first guns that we were like, hey, holy smokes, this is coming in. And then I guess to work our way down the list, here's another gun that we've been circling like a shark for a while. This is a French MAB PA-15. It probably does not really convey itself on video too much right now, but this is a big ass gun. This is a big gun. This is a heavy gun. I've heard it probably recoils pretty stoutly. It is a 9mm PA-15. It has 15 round magazines, so we have 1 magazine with it. No box, no papers, so that hurt the gun value-wise. And I think it's even possible. I think we're probably missing a screw on one of the grips, so that's going to be be an issue. For anyone that, I guess we've not even fired this gun. It doesn't even seem like it's been hardly shot, so it seems very tight. It actually has a rotating barrel design, not a Browning design. So I wouldn't say it's a rare gun. I would say it's an unknown gun, but the people that want these will pay top dollar for them. And we were able to get this for a pretty decent price. So that was suddenly, boom, this comes into the Armory, and you know, we've been looking at them for a while, but you know, we haven't been able to win one. So also, not to be outdone, we've done a video on this. This is is that locked back? Yeah. This is a H&K P9S. This came in from, let me do that. Yeah. This came in from Centerfire Systems. They sent out an email for these guns. This isn't a gun we would normally pay market prices for, but I think because the economic conditions and the people possibly holding off on spending surplus money, when the email came in from Centerfire Systems that they had some of these police surplus HKP9Ss, it was such a good buy, and I couldn't believe they were still there. We went ahead and picked one up because it was probably half of what the current market rate is. And again, that may not hold up to be completely true, because I'm sure the H&K people want a gun that, again, variant collectors, they want cherry condition, they want box and papers, they want all, unmarked, whatever. This is obviously shooter grade, which for us as a reference gun is perfect. So we're not going to pay top dollar prices for a cherry gun just to shoot it and lose 30% of the value. It's just not how our business model works. So HKP9S, this one came in during the pandemic. Honorable mention, let me reach across here and get this real quick. Freeze had mentioned that this also came in right at the beginning of the pandemic. So when this came in through the FFL, there were already people wearing masks and taking precautions. This is a Rock Island 9mm 1911. This is Freeze's single stack 9mm. He wanted to get, so to maybe compare, say, to my 9mm single stack gun. I think it's in that brown. So this technically is a pandemic gun, and got it used, got it for, I think, a very good price. He did really good on it, and you'll probably see more of this coming in the future. We haven't done too much with it because he's been so busy, because he's an essential employee, so the benefits of actually having a job. So Rock Island 9mm 1911 technically is a pandemic gun. Not to be outdone with also modern guns, this is a Wilson X9L. Anyone that follows the channel obviously knows what this gun is and kind of what's going on with it. There's no reason to talk about it too much, but it did come in the middle of the pandemic. Even a lot of the gun stores were closed. Our FFL obviously stayed open, and we've been waiting months for this, and we're not going to make this the Wilson X9L channel, so it doesn't really anything else need to be said about it. But it did come in during the pandemic. Next up, the next two guns that are on the table actually were, I would call them spontaneous buys. They've been on the to buy list. They've been on the, we've been searching for them, but we're not going to pay too much. But we did not, these two guns, these two rifles, we did not get these at auction. We actually picked these up going into the FFL to pick up other firearms. So the first one, if I think I have this correct. This is a Japanese Arisaka Type 38. I believe it's a 38. I could have that wrong. It's a World War II Japanese rifle. Right off the bat, you can see there are some issues. It looks like it's been, somebody's worked on the stock. It does have a ground-off mum and has been reblued. So, again, for the collector, this is probably not the most desirable of gun. But we've been looking for one, and in particular, I've been looking for two things for a while. The first one is, let me see if I can get this in film or on frame. This is a rifle, not a carbine. And for reference guns that are actually shot, you will quickly learn that carbines kind of suck to shoot, so we've been holding out for a rifle. We also didn't want to spend too much, since this gun has been assed up by Bubba a little bit. The higher end collectors, again, higher end collectors of Japanese rifles, I don't know about that, but they are going up in price. This is chambered, I believe, in 6.5 Jap, which I think is a bonus. I've not yet gone the 6.5 Creedmoor, but I have 6.5 Swede and 6.5 Jap, so what the hell, I guess we're slowly getting there. So rifle, Japanese, Arisaka, we picked up, literally walked in to the FFL, noticed that there was a rifle on the rack, and we're like, what's going on with that Jap rifle? And we ended up leaving with it that day. The next rifle, you're looking at it here, this is what you typically would call a Nylon 66. And I've been trying to pick up a decent grade Nylon 66 for a couple of years. Almost picked one up outside of DC a few years ago, but the interest in them has gone up and the collectability has gone up, and most of them are shot to hell or damaged because it's a kid's gun. It's a plastic gun. It's a plastic receiver, all plastic parts except for I think the barrel and this cover plate. It's all plastic, but they have a very good reputation for two things. Three things. Number one, they seem to be pretty reliable. Number two, they hold a lot of ammo. They have like 14 rounds, I think what it is. And number three, they're cheap. So kids love these. These are kids' guns. And what's happened is because they're kids' guns, a lot of them, even though they made a ton of them, were destroyed or basically, rode hard and put up wet. And while I am certainly interested in a shooter grade Nylon 66, I'm not going to pay collector's prices for what these guns have been going for. However, those of you that are pretty smart or pretty on the ball may have already noticed there's something wrong with this story. This is a Nylon 66 by Type, but it is not a Nylon 66 by brand. This is actually a, let me see, what do we call it? It's a model GR8. They're calling it a model GR8. It's made by FTE in Brazil. Now, so this is an exact copy of the Nylon 66, and while I wouldn't, do you buy the Remington because it's probably intrinsically more valuable, or do you buy the Brazilian rifle? I probably would buy the Remington because I'd rather have the money tied up at least in something that is, has more intrinsic value that'll be retained. However, this was in the gun store, had come in, we believe from someone who's selling an estate, and it also appears that this gun is, if it's not unfired, it is almost unfired. Hence why it's got the box and all of that. So we end up getting a Nylon 66 that is functionally a Nylon 66. It's brand new, but we didn't pay brand new prices. Also, I did a little looking real quick while I was at the gun store. into these versus the Remingtons, and apparently they are just as reliable. And my understanding is that even if you break a part on one of these guns, any Nylon 66 part, which I think you can get them from Numerich or some of the online places, will work in this gun. It is also my understanding that the company that made these in Brazil has the exact tooling. Like it's made on the same tooling as the Nylon 66. So for a reference gun, shooter grade, type as opposed to variant, and the price and considering the situation, it was right there. We went ahead and grabbed this as well. So, been looking for one of these for a while, and this is one of the cool black ones. I think I could be wrong. They might call these Apaches for the Nylon 66. So, anyway. So that about wraps it up. We've gone for quite a bit here. This is the quick show and tell video, like when you're in kindergarten, of the guns of the pandemic or guns of COVID or whatever. So if you're in the gun game out there and maybe there's guns that you've wanted to pick up and for some reason were able to do so during the pandemic, leave me a comment below. I'd be curious to hear if we're the only person that has witnessed this, because the news and in the gun community, all you hear right now, or all we heard, are the gun stores are slammed, nobody's got ammo, prices are sky high, inventory's low, and there's lines out the door. And it almost sounds like, well, that's a dead space. Well, for us, it's actually been pretty interesting. We've, again, we haven't got anything here for nothing, but we've done within our targeted budget on every gun here on the table. So I think that's pretty neat. So anyway, if you want to see more pictures, videos, or links or stories about any of these guns in the future as we slowly work our way through them and shoot them and write about them, go to our website, John1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun, everybody. Have a good day.